Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So continuing on our game improvement series that we've been doing with Mac, very much understanding ball flight, understanding how we can get more out of our games through the compression video, through the shot shaping video. And today we're going to talk specifically about why we feel that more players should stop trying to hit a straight shot, right? For me, and for many people, the hardest shot in golf is the straight shot. You know, trying to curve something one way or the other. You know, you don't necessarily have to be, perfectly exact with it, but when trying to play the straight shot, aiming down the middle and having the ability to miss it both ways normally doesn't lead to some lower scores. So we're going to go through that with Mac today. Do you ever really look for a stock straight shot, Mac?
Unless it's absolutely needed. If I have a small shoot in a tree or something, then yes. But generally speaking, I pick a shape because it allows me to commit to my shot.
Yeah.
And obviously know where the miss is going. That's my big thing. I can predict where my miss is going a lot easier if I pick a shape.
Without a doubt. I always say to people, off the tee especially, if you're aiming down the middle of a 40-yard wide fairway and you're just hoping to miss it 20 or 20 yards either side or hit it straight, you're literally half the size of the fairway for yourself. Whereas if you're hitting always on one shape, in that 40-yard wide fairway, you can just start it on the edge of that fairway and play into even 35 yards of it. You've almost doubled your landing space if you can predict that it's going to move in that direction, and that you don't have to be nearly as exact when you do that. So let's run through the bag with you. And you're always, you curve a 9-iron as much as you curve a 6, as much as you curve any of your woods. So let's look through the bag and see what makes sense with this.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's hit a couple. So 9-iron for you, it is a pretty neutral ball flight on a shot like that. So in fact, played pretty perfectly. 3.6 degrees in, 2 out. Face was 1.5 open. That gets the start line left. Face is 2.1 closed, gets it curving back ever so slightly to the right. Really good, very, very minimal shaft axis tilt. Guys, we don't really like to refer to side spin. It's this axis tilt that we talk about that's kind of like the wings in a plane. So if we want the plane to bank left, the plane tilts to the left and it kind of curves in that direction. Think of the golf ball in that exact same sense. So if Mac wants it to turn a little bit with a little bit of a draw, that's exactly how he's going to play that. Okay, so let's look at a draw and a fade now into this hole.
Okay.
So let's go, let's 170 for the draw.
Yeah, a little bit more for the draw if I'm trying to really turn one in there.
Okay, let's see how things change up. Beautiful. Bounce, spin to the right. Perfect, 170, right on the number. So we can see whichever way you guys want to think about it, right? We'll kind of reference both, but axis tilt now is much, much more aggressively rightward. Side spin for evaluation is 1958, so awesome. Right, let's go the other way. Let's go 150 with a cut. Yeah, so really nice. Not curving nearly as much, about a third of what
I
the
would say
draw
I don't
does.
curve the like the 9-iron, 8-iron quite as much from right to left. It's more of a subtle curve, but it's still me trying to curve it.
Yep. So let's look at the delivery itself, and yeah, when the short irons, it's definitely harder to curve the cut with the short iron. And guys, typically that is the case when we have a short iron in our hands and we're trying to hit a cut. Basically what's happening is that dynamic loft is going up significantly. And that's why it's harder to hit a cut with shape than a draw with shape, because it's the lower loft that allows us to obviously curve the ball a little bit more. So in this sense, what's your comfort level? Do you prefer moving the club in or moving the ball in with a draw or a fade with a short iron?
I'd say I'm starting to like trying to fade it and like holding it off a little bit more. Just because, again, with my tendency to get stuck underneath it from hooking it, that feeling of having the club out in front of me on the downswing and feeling a little bit more steep and across it allows me to feel like I can commit to starting on my start line better.
Okay.
But I'm always looking, like, for me, path-wise, I always need to feel like I'm more than 3 either way.
Yeah.
So that, as soon as it gets under 3, that's when I start finding that I struggle to find the face.
Right.
When I can have my path like 4.3 or more out to in, it's going to be easier for me to trust what my club face is doing.
Yeah, I know, I love it. I mean, I think that's the point of what we're getting at here, guys, is literally when it comes to, you know, the kind of shot shaping and picking a particular shot, you know, we don't want to be aiming down the middle and kind of missing both ways just because, oh, I never quite released that one, or I never quite kind of, you know, held that one off enough. So we want to make sure it's a definite shot shape that's moving back in the intended direction. Okay, let's move back into the 6 iron. Let's go. Now let's go fairly stock. Okay, let's hit 2 or 3. Let's hit. Sorry, not stock. Let's hit 2 or 3 straight ones.
Okay.
So a little draw. So we can definitely always see that a neutral shot shape for you is a draw.
Yeah, I would say that's what I've always done, is like that little draw path for sure. But then I'm trying to get it more comfortable being a little bit more of a fade pattern.
Yeah.
So that's why I really need to exaggerate that.
Right. Okay, let's add a couple more. Very good. Okay, touch late with that one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so give me now, if you can, Matt, give me 3 draws. Really good.
So for that right there, like, I know that might be right of my target, but for me, that's where I know it's going to go. So if I'm sitting, I guess we touched on this a bit with the shot shaping, my miss is an over slang or over draw, so it takes away left treble.
Right.
9.9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
So that's a really important thing for me when I'm on a hole that's got left treble. If I try to go straight, I don't know if I could maybe pull a little bit, or if my face comes too shut.
Yeah, yeah.
So this eliminates that left.
I think that's a very, very important piece of this, is that, you know, you're trying to eliminate a foul ball of some kind, or, you know, put it in the water or the out of bounds or whatever it might be. Knowing that you can shape it away from the trouble is a big skill under a bit of pressure as well.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be able to commit to it and know where it's going. Again, bad shots happen. I can accept those, but as long as I stick to that process of playing it based on what my normal tendencies are, that's really important for me.
Okay, so let's curve one a little less than that. I mean, that 2,300 RPMs of draw spin is crazy. Really nice. And you're kind of able to manipulate different things here. So we can manipulate spin down if we're hitting it into the wind, if we don't want to kind of flight it. And guys, we're not saying don't ever hit a straight shot. We're basically saying don't stick to a straight shot. Don't be stuck to a straight shot. There's a big difference in the definition between those, because if you're one-dimensional and you only see everything straight, you're then very vulnerable to the conditions that you play in. You probably play well if it's, you know, Arizona and a nice day, but if the wind blows at all and you're in Florida or Texas, or, you know, wherever it might be, in the links back in the UK, you're going to want to have the ability to manipulate spin rates and shapes and the apex of your ball flight. So that is a big part of why we're saying don't just be stuck to hitting the ball straight. Okay, let's go the other way. Let's hit a little fader in here. So this will now start to get easier for you to hit the fade, because you're bringing that dynamic loft down a little bit. So should be able to curve this a bit more. Awesome.
Again, this is kind of a good representation of what my misses generally are for both. Fade, I know it's going to miss left. I overfade it. a draw, generally I overdraw it. So that's why, for me, it's important that I have these shapes and I do rely on them. Obviously, I tend to fade it more often than not if I'm just out for a round of golf, because that feels more comfortable, but knowing that I have a shot to eliminate one side is super important for me.
So let's bring the yardage in a little bit. Let's do 170.
Okay.
So
yeah, with
more shape.
Sure.
Yeah, that's nice. Just working it back towards the flag, and I mean, you can see how it's really not difficult for Mac to do this. It's just something he's practiced so often. Really, really nice. Excellent. Really good stuff.
Deep,
okay, and let's look at shaping the wood. You were hitting some fairway woods earlier on and kind of showing us some different shots that you do hit with the fairway wood. This is pretty cool.
Okay. So same thing with like kind of my driver, my stock shot with this is like a little pull fade. I guess it's technically a push fade for how much I stand open. Right. So I'll start with that. Again, trying to hit straight wood for me is always a bit of a challenge. I can't remember the last time I just hit like a straight wood, just because all I see is a little bit of shape and it allows me to commit to it.
Right.
So let's just be a stock like cut.
That's nice.
Yeah. So that would be like coming into a par 5, wanting to land it a little softer. Kind of a little higher flight generally. That would be kind of my go-to 3-wood. I would say I hit that majority of the time. That's like my safety, I guess, shape.
Yeah, love that. I mean, look at peak height, angle of descent, all really, really nice to hit as a second shot.
Yeah.
Or into a landing spot on the fairway. Let's hit it the other way. Let's go the draw.
So this should generally launches a little lower for me. A little lower spinning. It's going to be good as like an off the tee shot. Something I just want to get on the ground quick and have run out.
And that's just absolutely caned.
A little too much turnover, but again, I know where it's going. That's generally going to be the miss with the draw of mine. I don't block it out.
Okay, so let's go back and hit a couple of the kind of higher fade ones again. So that's 90 feet, angle of descent 35. Guys, anything in the mid-30s, angle of descent is ideal for coming into a fairway. Anything in the low to mid-40s is ideal for coming into the green with a club of this length. So let's hit a couple of the high faders. Beautiful. And there's not really that much of a difference in the carry between those last two. If we look at the ball speed, somewhat similar. The launch is a little different, but we've got 37 feet of height difference and 11.5 degrees of angle descent difference based on really, really spin rate.
Yeah, it's spin.
Yep. So we had the little extra launch, very similar in speed, and one is perfect for the fairway and one is perfect for the green.
Right.
That's exactly how we want to show you guys the benefits of having these shots in your locker. I think it's very, very important that people learn the skills that allow them to shape the ball.
And I think knowing where your miss is going. So it's, for me, harder to know where my miss is going when I'm constantly hitting it, trying to hit it straight, because I'm relying so much on a club face. And for me, I think, well, for anyone, I'll speak for other people, is club face control is probably one of the hardest things about golf, is knowing where your club face is. So for me, this takes away the thought of what my club face is doing. All I focus is on path, and then obviously with a little bit of practice, you can start kind of feeling where the club face is to match what your path is doing.
I mean, in the Bay, when we're working with people and they say, I'm not a very consistent golfer, I don't really kind of hit two shots the same, and we watch them hit 8-10 shots, and we see lots of patterns. Their speed generally doesn't fluctuate too much. The angle of attack normally doesn't fluctuate too much. The path normally doesn't fluctuate. The variable, like you say, is the club face.
Always, yeah.
That between that and the contact, if you can improve those two things, you can make a very predictable ball flight, a very safe ball flight for that player. Give them some reliability in amongst that. So I love what you're saying there in terms of giving the kind of mind a definite task, right? So not standing up there going, well, if I aim kind of at the target and point myself at the target, I hope to hit it in that direction. You're standing up there with clarity in your sort of visualization from what you're trying to do.
Yeah, picking a target where I want the ball to start naturally helps me square up everything. So for me, I'm not just zoning in on a flag that I see in the middle of a green 200 yards away. I'm trying to zone in on maybe a tree that's right of the green or left of the green that I want to start my ball towards.
Love it.
And that's my main focus, because if you're just consistently focusing on just the target, then a lot of times start line becomes an issue.
It does. It definitely does. Well, guys, hopefully, again, I think through this series and these other videos we've been doing, we're kind of, I know we're inspiring some of you. I'm seeing the comments where some of you are saying thank you for explaining the game in a different way, that we don't have to conform to, having to have a zero club path and zero club face all the time. And I think going to the range and acquiring the skills of being able to shape the ball with some predictability is a real asset to your game. And under a bit of pressure, knowing that, okay, well, I can turn the ball easier right to left than I can left to right. Well, I'm going to rely on that. So you want to up your odds of hitting a really, really high quality shot, especially when you're under pressure, especially when it means a little something, whether that's club championship, whether that's in a professional event, or whether it's just trying to beat your best ever score or take money off your friends. All of those things, you will feel the pressure a little bit more. So learning these skills will help you in those situations, and definitely try it in the range first. Take it onto the course, before you play competitions, and I think you'll really start to find something that helps you predict what your golf ball's going to do. Let us know your feedback on these guys. We'd love to hear it. Stay tuned for more. We'll see you again soon.